Tonight's first inductee into the ARIA Hall of Fame first tasted his future some 65 years ago when 3 Melbourne Boy Scouts formed a band that played their debut gig. How the gig went isn't recorded in history, although he would later write of his own playing at that time. My approach was too stiff, my rhythm was too jerky, and my playing was corny.
Corny it might have been, but he persevered, and in 1935 the trio became a quartet called Gay's Jazz Band. By 1947, the quartet had become an octet, taking the name of the man we honour tonight, and were about to sail into history. Graeme Bell's Dixieland Jazz Band became the first Australian jazz outfit to go overseas when it was invited to the World Youth Festival in Prague. Arriving in Paris, their fame spread rapidly. The band, who were described on their passports as students, clerks, engineers and electricians, were suspected of smuggling musical instruments. A customs official asked them to prove they were musos, so Bell and his band gave an impromptu concert on the spot. He created such a traffic jam, it was featured on the front page of Paris Soir and wired to other newspapers throughout Europe. They played in Prague, Brussels, Liège, Amsterdam and The Hague. Europe loved them. Graeme Emerson Bell had made his mark.
Thank you very much, everybody. Welcome once again to another series in Trad Jazz.
Before Australia had a rock industry, Graeme Bell became a star. His records were in the charts. He could pack Sydney Town Hall with 2,500 people 3 times a week, pull 1,500 in Wagga, had his own TV show and was even featured in TV Week. In his mid-40s, Graeme Bell had his name on Fantail's rappers. Now that's stardom. Such has been his impact that Graeme Bell, who it is said could have been an even greater painter than he was pianist, was awarded the MBE in 1978 and the Order of Australia in 1990. He celebrated by taking his All-Stars band on the first ever tour of China by an Australian jazz band. At 83, Graeme Bell is proof that jazz is definitely not just a young man's game. And his playing wasn't corny after all.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome a great Australian and a wonderful musician, a real legend, the father of Australian jazz, Graeme Bell.
Thank you very much, everybody. This is a Guernsey for a music that was very popular when I was young, but I'm afraid it's a little bit of a minority music now, jazz. I just want to make 3 quick thank yous. One to all the great musicians who've played with me over the years, and I use the word great the way we used to use it 50 years ago. It not just means good, it means really great. Number 2, that's right, that wonderful producer in London who produced our records for EMI, George Martin, now Sir George. 10 years later, he produced the Beatles. And also in Sydney, that wonderful producer, Robert Iredale, the late Robert Iredale, who produced our records for Festival here in Sydney. Thank you.